We are tuned into the Christian Entrepreneur Podcast. I am here with a special guest, the first guest of 2021, Evette from the U.S.A. So I'm really glad to have her on here to share her wisdom to all of you here, and just to help you to get insight of the landscape in the US and everything else. So Evette,
Hey there, Babs. Thanks so much for having me on your show.
no problem.
So happy to be here. Now I feel international. Thank you. Pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah. So we're just gonna talk about our journey. It's gonna be like a flowing conversation, and
Okay.
we're just gonna talk about our journeys, talk about a viewpoint on how we think the viewpoint of you be you starting out in business in and how it's it's a good space to sort of be in now in the current place we're in now, and yeah, we're just got the conversation flower and sort of getting a lot of value to you all here, and to help you lot as well. So yeah, let's start this.
Let's get the party started, huh? Get the conversation started.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I'm happy to add to the conversation about entrepreneurship and my journey. I think the first thing I want to say, Babs, is that we have a very unique opportunity right now with this COVID situation.
Yeah.
This has never happened before. And I pray to God it never happens again, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to see this ever happen again.
Yeah.
But there is a silver lining. There is a unique opportunity right now because forcing people to come away from it all, to come away from the madness, come away from the jobs, come away from the hustle and bustle, forcing you to be with yourself, be with your family, just really focus on what matters. We are probably never going to have this time again. I know. I'm so happy that there's not so much traffic on the road. I don't see cars going up and down. It's not as crowded as we want. And I actually have time to like clean out a drawer or clean out my closets or pull out some old writings that I had started a long time ago, or call a friend across the country or across the world that you haven't been in touch with. Because of this, check on people. So even though on one side of the coin, it's like, oh my God, pandemic, problems. The other side of that coin is I get a chance to pause. I get a chance to do some reflection. I get a chance to take a step back. I get a chance to rest. So I think that's the two sides of the coin that we have here. So with that as a background, I was working a nice corporate job, like a lot of people going to work every day. And because of this, I got laid off.
Wow.
So there I am, with no income. And I kept looking for other jobs. I was like, no sweat, I'll just find something else. And then the shutdown happened and everything just came to a standstill. So what am I going to do now? I freaked out, like a lot of people, panicked a little bit. But a friend of mine said, you said you always wanted to write a book. Why don't you finish writing your book? And then I blew it off for a while. And then I was complaining, I can't find another job. What am I going to do? And he said it again. Well, why don't you look for a job for a few hours, but finish writing your book? You're probably never going to have this time again. You should get that book out. So I did. And that changed everything. I had started writing this book 5 years prior, and I got it out and I started writing and I rediscovered how much I love writing. And I wrote and I wrote and I wrote another chapter, and it got to the point where I would get excited about what's the character going to do today? Because a lot of times I don't really know what's going to happen next until I start writing.
Right.
And Babs, I finished that book in 5 weeks.
Wow.
A book that I had stashed away 5 years ago, I finished it in 5 weeks. And it was like, oh my gosh, I finished my book. Now what? And I wrote another book and I wrote another book. and I wrote another book. And that's what started me on this journey to becoming a published author, where I am now 2 years later. But had it not been for me losing my job and had it not been for COVID, who knows? That book would probably still be tucked away somewhere.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think a lot of careers and a lot of people have done a business or created a skill set through this lockdown. I think without this lockdown, I think a lot of people who go into business or go into YouTube or go into reading, writing books and stuff, that probably wouldn't have happened. So I think in a weird way, it's been on one sense, it's been a blessing because a lot of people have been able to create content and get their creative juices flowing. But obviously, on
Exactly.
the backside of it, a lot of people have obviously sadly died or had an illness or had issues with the with job and rent
Mhm.
and everything else, which is a big issue as well. So I think, yeah, it's definitely been interesting how a lot of people have either thrived through the lockdown or a lot of people have had issues and not been able to thrive or adapt.
Yes, and let's talk about that because we
Mm,
want to be sensitive, Babs, and that you're right. There are people on both sides of this, both sides of the coin, right? Just like I
mm,
started talking about, and
yeah,
you said the exact same thing.
mm,
So if you're in a position where, maybe someone has passed away or someone has become ill or so forth and so on,
yeah,
we respect that and we send our
of course,
condolences for those who have passed for sure.
of
And
course.
we are sensitive to that.
Hmm.
And if that's your case, definitely, you have support.
Mm,
I know of some people who became sick, and
yeah,
we all know of someone, and we can support one another through
yeah,
that. So that's another good quality that has come out of this. I feel
mm,
like we're closer to one another. We feel for each other,
mm,
because so many of us have been affected in some way. So
mm,
we can look at how we can come together as a community.
mm,
And you can also do the flip side of that. While you're home, while you're, taking your time to grieve or care for loved ones, what have you put on the shelf that you can dust off?
mm,
What have you been wanting to try that you've never had a chance to try? A
mm,
lot of things have been, a lot of dreams, like you said, Babs, have been put away on the shelf.
mm,
And now is a good time to dust those things off and give it a go because you're in good company. So many people are trying things for the first time, trying things that they never had a chance to because of the hustle and bustle. So it's like a worldwide pause.
yeah, yeah,
It's a worldwide time out. Worldwide time out, everybody, so we can all try some things together. And I think it's beautiful what can come out of a time like this, no matter what side of the coin you're on. If you're supporting a loved one
mm,
or coming together as a community or starting something new for yourself.
mm, mm. No, I think that's good. I think that's great. Um, let's talk more about, like, obviously from the US, from your point of view, from the US and everything that's going on over there in terms of for the past year, there's obviously been a lot of issues that have been occurring in the US in terms of
Mhm.
not just racism, but obviously the Trump and everything else. So from your point of view, how do you think it is from obviously where you're at, and how do you think things have changed or
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So the political landscape has changed a lot. First of all, the prior president, Donald Trump,
mm,
who we had in office, was not a politician.
mm,
So that's the first thing. Everyone else, from George Washington on up to Obama, they were raised or they came up through the political chain. Okay, whether they were in Congress or a lawyer or on Capitol Hill or served in some capacity in politics.
mm,
He did not come from politics at all. He came from the business world.
yeah,
So you have a completely different type of person in the White House. Now, I'm not putting a value judgment on that. I'm
Mm,
not saying whether that's good or whether it's bad, but
mm,
you have people who love that and you have people who hate
mm,
that.
mm,
So whenever something is different, then that's, an easy excuse for people to talk about it.
mm,
So you have the people who are like, well, I think it's great that he's a businessman. I think it's great that he doesn't care about politics. He can't be bought. He's not one of them. And then you have people where he's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not a politician. So, maybe we could just say what might be good about that, what might be not so good about that. Because I tell you, there's so much negativity going on. There's so much hate being thrown around. It would just do us so much good to try to look at the bright side of anything,
mm,
because the bottom line, during those 4 years, I tried to take a position. He is the president. So what can I do? Whether I agree or disagree, and I'm not going to say my opinion, but
mm,
whether I agree or disagree, I can pray for him.
mm,
We can pray for our leaders.
mm,
There we can vote, we can express ourselves, we can
yeah,
protest
yeah,
peacefully. There's a lot of things that we can do. So it's always easy to sit back and criticize, and there's a place for the pundits and so forth. But what are you going to do positively to make your world a better place? So
yeah,
that's what I challenge people to do. He definitely was different. The way he came in, even the way he exited out. Was there anything good in there? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe we'll see in the future.
mm,
And if not, we have a new administration now. How can we use this to make the world a better place?
mm,
So with everything, I like to challenge people to find the good in it, because just complaining doesn't do a whole lot.
mm,
But I will tell you that more people have become active and have actually gotten in the game over the last 4 years. I'm here in Washington, D.C., and it's so easy to, believe it or not, to, to just kind of sit back because everybody comes into the city and expresses themselves. But
mm,
for the first year, I know so many people who went down to the mall and protested and raised their flags and spoke their voice. And it was the coolest thing because everyday people started to come out.
mm,
It wasn't just the politicians, it wasn't just the nonprofit groups or the special interest groups. Everyday people. I took my kids down there. I said, let's be a part of this.
mm,
Let's make our voices heard.
yeah,
So it has been really cool to see non-political people, apolitical people, Democrats, Republicans, socialists, whatever, everybody coming out to have their voices heard. And that's one thing that I'm excited about. It because because things went just so crazy, and they did get pretty crazy, I think.
yeah,
It really brought so many different people out, and it gave pause for conversation and trying to understand each other, and having all of our voices heard. So I'm hoping some more of that will continue. Even if we don't agree, let's at least talk,
mm,
because when you get to know the person on the other side of the table, you have somewhere where you can start from.
yeah. No, I think that's great. I think what I love about like the US and young people in the US and stuff is that they really want to fight, for what they believe in, and they want to protest, they want to speak out. They're not against the status quo, basically. And I think that's what I love about the youth and people in the US and people in different parts of the country as well who want to protest and support real stuff that have to be put to the forefront of life and of the media and everything else. I think there's not that much. I think the US is quite like a usual thing for them to
Mhm,
protest and everything else. But I think in the UK, it the protests and everything doesn't happen as much, I
mhm.
guess. So from seeing it from the UK's point of view, seeing everybody in the US doing it, I think it's really great. To support things and people fighting for for us as Black Lives Matter and for George Floyd, what happened last year as well. That was really great to see as well. And seeing what's happening now and stuff. There's a lot of people who are really having a voice and really sharing it. And
Absolutely. I can tell you, again, people who would never ordinarily come out were there. Kids were there. Their parents were there. White people, black people, Asian people, all kinds of people, all races, all religions. It was wonderful. It was like this big, huge wake up call. It
yeah,
was a wake up call to see it. I'm so thankful for the technology where you can capture something on camera. You don't have to wait for a news reporter to come down.
yeah,
So many moments were being captured, and people really demanded that their voice be heard. And it wasn't just what you saw in the news media. I mean, this lasted for weeks.
yeah,
For weeks after the main protest, people were just going down, talking, protesting, having signs. It went on for at least several months. People were active and joining causes, and still are. And even though like maybe today there isn't some march, it's still active and alive in conversations, and like we're doing podcasts, and this is so important that we not just let it die, but that we continue raising our voices. And what I see too, Babs, is this it's like spreading like wildfire, because it may have started with George Floyd, but then it goes into education, and people are protesting about wages, and
yeah,
people are protesting about equality for women, and the whole thing in Hollywood that's happened with women having equal rights. And now on Wall Street, people are coming together and coming against the big brokerage houses because they're trying to fix prices. And there is this uprising that I'm excited about, where people are standing up for themselves. We are standing up for ourselves finally, and that I am truly excited about.
yeah. I really love that. I think at some point, so, so I would really like to get people who do protest and who do protest actually like come on the podcast or who I can interact with, because I think it's really good seeing it from the UK to the US side and seeing how we started and seeing why they're doing it and seeing like, how much of a impact that it's having um
Mhm.
in states and stuff as well. So I think that's cool. Um yeah, so we talked about the lockdown, we talked about the US. Um, Maybe let's talk about like the future. What do you see your like the books and stuff doing? Do you want to put some more merch out to children or to people in general? Um, do you see the books and everything else as like a brand, and you're trying to get it out there to support children and
Mhm.
really,
So let me share a little bit about that, a little bit
mm,
more about my story.
mm,
When the layoff happened for me, I was in my corporate job for about 15 years. And it really blindsided me, and it really set me back because, something that was unforeseen, not just for me, but for everybody.
right,
So it really made me think about, as I was writing the books, first of all, I rediscovered how much I love writing and how much I love creativity. It was challenging, and it was exciting, and developing the characters and what are they going to do next, and what's my next book going to be about.
mm,
It also made me really go inside to think about, is this what I want to do for a living? Is this what I want to leave, like, is this the footprint that I want to leave behind in the world?
mm,
And I realized that I really loved writing, as opposed to just going to work to get a paycheck.
right,
And I think a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, probably yourself too, they come to that realization that they want to work hard. We don't mind working hard, but let's do it for ourselves and our families and for something we care about.
yeah,
And then I thought, wow, what would it be like if everybody or nearly everybody did work that they loved?
mm,
Would the world be a better place if we could just all do what we love to do? We'd all be happier, we'd be healthier, we wouldn't be stressed out.
yeah,
That would be great. So it really did cause me to have this shift and think about not just next year and going back and doing the same thing, but my life, if that's making sense. It just triggered in me conversation about my life and what do I want my life to look like, and not just what I want my career to look like.
Mm.
So I realized and honed in what I want to do and what I felt my life's mission and life's purpose was. And a big part of that has to do with children. I love children. I have 3 kids. Babs, I've always been the neighborhood mom. All the kids like to come to my house. I think
Yeah.
I probably had more than my share of sleepovers with my kids and their friends and so forth. I remember when my daughter was going to the prom, she had like 15 girlfriends come over and they all got dressed in my house. And that brings me so much joy. So I've shifted now, and I really want a lot of my life's work to be around children, children's issues, and bringing positive content to kids.
Mm.
Bringing that purity back to kids, just old-fashioned stories, helping them to believe in themselves, share love, be helpful, just good old-fashioned values. So that's what my books are about. This is just my first published series. I have a lot more books that I want to put out there. So if you don't mind, the name of the series is The Adventures of Sunny, Adventures of Sunny, Sunny. It's available on Amazon, but you have to type in the author name too,
Mhm.
by Evette Davis, Evettedavis, because there's a old book called The Adventures of Sunny from the 1970s. So type the title and the author name, Evette Davis, and it'll come up. So I wrote these series. They're just cute little books. There's five books in a series. And the idea was that these would be books that parents could read with their kids, that you could read with your son or daughter or your grandkids, to get them involved in literacy, to get them excited about reading, because that Head Start means so much when kids are going to kindergarten
Yeah.
and starting primary school. Next year, I'd like to have out another set of books, maybe The Adventures of Sunny 2. And I also started a YouTube channel called Story Time with Miss Diamond, and Diamond is Dymond. And it's sort of an extension of that. I tell these cute little stories, these cute little fables, and at the end, we talk about what was the lesson learned in the story. So as kids go out through their daily lives, they can think back on these story times and remember, I remember this story time. It said, don't give up, keep pushing towards your goal. Or I remember this story time where they say, you shouldn't tease people, you should work together. They're just instilling very healthy values, and not just kids, but adults too, because we can all be reminded of these wisdoms and these stories.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I think we don't have too many people whose entrepreneurial niche, should I say, is based around children and really trying to, because obviously the children are our future. So I think it's important for you to them to be educated and for them to learn and really be like focused on a lot. So I think that's a really good thing that I think should be really should really be praised and stuff, because I think it's important. I think in terms of one other thing you said, which I think is key, is talking about how more people should be able to do what they love to do, and if more people had that sort of that choice or that career, then I think they'll be more happy and more people will be able to spread that love and have less stress. I think it's important as entrepreneurs as well to sort of share your story. I think you should have like a bigger light on us. So I think more people, if they see that, oh, this person done this and they love doing this and they cause this, then I think there's more of a way that, or pathway, that they feel that, okay, I like to do this. If I work hard enough and I obviously have support around it, then that
Yeah.
same level that he's at or she's at, I can also reach and get and help more people as well get there as well.
You're right, because I remember for myself, I always thought for a long time, Babs, nobody's really doing anything for kids. You're just supposed to raise your kids, and like if you're gonna be an entrepreneur, you have to do something big, like you have to open a store, or you have to create a product, or you have to invent something, or you have to have some service, like be a lawyer. I don't have any of that. And
Mm,
I'm telling you the truth, I felt that for the longest time. I felt that there was nothing I was good at where that I could really sell it and become successful.
mm,
So I feel like my story is a little bit unique because I mean, I'm gonna tell you the honest truth. When I thought, what am I good at? I'm like, well, kids love me, but I can't do anything with that.
mm,
And I felt that way for many, many years. And it wasn't again until, God used my friend, I feel like to say, well, you're great with kids. What kind of book are you writing? I'm like, well, it's a kid's book. And I was like, yeah, big deal. It's a kid's book. He's like, no, that's really cool. You should write the kid's book. So
mm.
it doesn't matter what your talent is. If you put it out there, you know, even starting small, just put it out there. I feel like God can bless it. And if you're doing it because you love it, it's going to bless you too.
Mm.
So it'll bless your audience. It's you do it to make, not just to make money, but to make you happy and to make your clients or whoever you're serving happy. And that's just a win-win. You just can't go wrong with that. So
Yeah,
I just want to encourage women, people, anybody, even if you think what you do is this small, just start with that, and you never know what else it might lead to.
yeah, yeah. I think that's important message to put out there, because I think a lot of people think of their gifting as like a side hustle thing, that okay, I need to focus on my career, and I need to put this to the side and sort of do this, which I think some people may obviously have that fear, but I think it's important for you to just start doing it, and then see how far it will go, and see how far God will bless you through that, and help you to bless other people as well. So I think,
Yeah, you're right on, and it's that proverb of you take one step, God will take two. But
yeah,
if you just sit on it and you never take a step, you never know what it can become. So
yeah,
these are the kind of lessons that I love sharing with both adults and with kids. And this is what I want to continue to do. I'll put it in books, put it in plays, put it in my story time videos. Um, we can all use a story to remind us of these types of values every now and then.
yeah, yeah. I think
So.
that's important. That's important. Um,
And I'll just add,
yeah,
as we were talking about starting and putting it out there,
yeah, yeah,
originally I was thinking, okay, I'll write this one book because I had this idea for a children's book in my mind. But now on the back end that I've written this book, and it was a hard process. I don't want to minimize it. It was hard. So
mm,
I wrote it, but that was just the beginning. I had to find a illustrator to illustrate the book. I had to find a self-publishing company. And that took a long time because I had never done this before. I had no idea about formatting. How do you get it in a bookstore? How do you get it on Amazon? Copyright. I just needed help with all that. I just knew how to write a cute story.
mm,
So it was a long process. So I'm not saying, and I know you're not either, Babs, we're
mm,
not saying it's going to be easy,
nah,
but if you love it, it'll give you the energy to keep going.
yeah, yeah,
So on the flip side of this now, I just released the book. It was a long process, probably 3 years um, for me to, get the whole thing out, publish, edit it, re-edit it, all of that, illustrator. But now it's like I want to go further. I have some ideas for some plays that I want to put out and have children's plays and maybe some children's characters and dolls and things that say positive affirmations or different things like that. So just get started. We want to encourage entrepreneurs to just get started on their path and see what happens. As long as you love it, as long as you're passionate about it, take a chance.
yeah, yeah. And I think it's important as well to say that, as you were saying, that it's going to be a journey. It's going to be obviously a lot of highs, a lot of lows. But it's important that, as you said, if you love it and you really think that it can add value, and and you feel that um there's a lot of input that your niche or your gifting can do, then I think that's what's going to spur you on to carry on through the tough times to really see the fruits really.
Mhm.
Yeah, so yeah. I think it's important to sort of have that because I think some people when they sort of get um into business and stuff like that, they only see their like the result of it, not the phases that you sort of have to go through. And I think even for me, that's how I sort of started out. I sort of saw the end result, the vision of what
Mhm.
I was trying to do, but I wasn't actually at the beginning seeing the process of how I'd have to start doing it off slowly, having the right sort of people involved and sort of growing it from there. And I think it's so important to sort of have that sort of mindset of, okay, I've got the vision, I've got the result of what I want to do. Now here's the process of how, step by step of how I'm gonna get there, and then
Mhm.
obviously having the right sort of people around you as well who have been there, done that as well, can also help you in your journey as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that completely. So we just got to keep encouraging each other, Babs, to
Yeah,
get out there because
yeah,
I know I do, and I know you do too. We want to see a world of happy, satisfied people. You
yeah.
know, one thing I hate is traffic, and
Mm,
just driving home in traffic. In Washington D.C. has some of the worst traffic anywhere. Just people bumper to bumper. If the accident happens, you're 2 hours getting home. We don't need that. If just half of us can be creators or producers, something from home or from a small business, we sow into our families, first of all, usually in a more healthy way. We
mm,
have more time. We get to know our communities because now we are providing a service or product to the community and we have that relationship with our community.
yeah,
It's just better all the way around.
yeah,
So yeah, we just want to encourage people to get started. It's not going to be a piece of cake, but it'll be a journey that's worth taking. Would you agree with that?
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's worth taking a step first, and then seeing how it goes. Obviously, as we've been saying, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough times. But I think even the good times, I think mostly will outweigh the tough times. And even though the tough times will be hard, I think that's sort of what you sort of need anyway. Because then through those tough times, that's where you sort of get the determination and the spirit to sort of go
Yes.
through the war. So yes,
In one of the stories I read on the video, it said anything that is worth having is worth sort of fighting for. When it comes
yeah,
to easy, we don't appreciate it.
nah,
So you do that hard work, but then when you get to the end, or you even get to your first goal, you're like, yes, I did it. It builds confidence.
yeah,
There's so many positive things that can come out of that. So, you know, let's
yeah,
just keep going with it.
yeah. Keep going, keep going.
Mhm.
Um, obviously, I will be bringing Yvette back during this year as well, because to obviously share more wisdom, share how she's doing with the book and stuff, and I think it's important for us to have more people who are uplifting, who are doing great stuff in the world and really trying to help other people sort of do the same thing as well. I think we need more of that in the media and in the world in general. So yeah, I think it's important to have that for sure.
Thank you. I'd like to share with your listeners my website
Hmm.
if they want to learn a little bit more about me and about um, my books and the Storytime channel. And they can also contact me via the website. It's www.dymondjewel.com, and that's spelled Dymond Jewel, JEWEL.com. So yeah, I would love to come back again and
Yeah,
share with you. Maybe next time it'll be a play or something
yeah.
like that
Who
uh,
knows? Who knows?
for kids. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to personally thank Yvette for coming on. I'm really blessed, really honored because this was something I was praying for as well, to have my first guest 2021, building more relationships with other entrepreneurs, other creatives, other people, and to sort of go from there into this year. So, you know, I'm really blessed to have my first guest, and hopefully many more, and we can hopefully connect obviously other entrepreneurs together as well, to help each other. So I think that's what I'm all about. And yeah, so obviously you can follow her website, follow her plays, follow her books, and obviously show it with children if you've got children, and keep your eyes peeled out for her, and follow her if it's on socials. Follow her on socials if you go on the site as well, and yeah.
Thanks so much, Babs. I'm honored to be your first guest. Woo! That
No
makes me
problem.
feel special. Thank you so much. Pleasure to meet you and talk to you.
No problem. Thank you.